tournament-wise, he per match was one of the highest rated goalkeepers for short passes to his defenders. So someone who's very comfortable on the ball, which is what we want to play football, but also someone who has a really high save ratio. So someone I think at 23 deserves this opportunity to come in and learn from the likes of Ibrahima and Sheikh Sibi, but also to compete for a place in the team. Mamadou Lion and Jai has been doing fantastically well at Kefum in Norway. Obviously promoted last year, a mainstay of the team. Good physical defender, but also very mobile. So someone who, if our fullbacks want to get a bit more, come wide positions quite well. So we're very pleased about that. And Joseph Cisse, someone who I know maybe previous coaches have been interested in bringing into the national team. Hasn't been successful. He's also got a really good move recently to Cesena in Serie B, and he's been playing, starting every match as a really effective need. If you need to, can play higher up the field, which gives scored a couple of goals in that game. He's went over to Estonia and he's hit the ground running really well, not just domestically, but in European. Still, he's only 20, but he's got good positions, which allows him not just to score goals, but to get nice assists, creative assists, but also out of possession. That mobility allows him to go and press the game, which is something I think you saw in the first couple of games we want to try and do. We want to defend higher up the pitch, and that mobility is really important for us. So yeah, the new guys coming in, but look, just because someone's named in the squad, I know I said this the last time, everybody likes new and shiny things. It's why we buy new mobile phones every couple of years, even though the old one works. We like new things, but just because you're added to the squad doesn't mean you go straight into the 11. We've got a lot of high performing players in there that the new guys will come in and compete. And look, if they deserve to play, they'll play. But there's not an expectation that they have to play in the very first time they're in the squad.
Coach, we're a bit worried about the way we play defensively. The last time we played against Gabon, we led 2-0, and then the power outage happened. We all know how we went out there. And then coming back, concede 3 goals in succession. Are you not a bit worried about the defensive approach of the national team? How are we going to change that?
The answer, there's a couple of things we need to tidy up. I'm overall not super concerned about it. So we led 1-0, not 2-0. I wish we were 2-0 up. And we should have been. I think that's the key thing for us. I think the Gabon game gave us some really interesting information, not just about the players' ability on the pitch, but their psychology. You've got to remember that over the last few years, yes, the Gambia have been super successful, but haven't been really a high-scoring team. And so conceding, you never want to concede goals. But when you're not a high-scoring team, when you only maybe score 1 goal, when you concede 1 goal, it can put your head down. You can be like, so disappointing. And I think we saw that a little bit in the Gabon game, in that we were really on top of the game. And I know, unfortunately, because the lights went out and then the TV reception didn't come back in, what a lot of Gambian supporters did not see is at the start of the second half, we should have scored again. In fact, just prior to Gabon getting the equalizer, we had 3 really good chances in quick succession. Within the space of 40 seconds, We had 3 really good chances in the nice goal on the counter attack. You know, they've hit us on the counter attack. We've been maybe over ambitious to really get that set because we were the dominant team. We were the dominant team and should have been 2 or 3 goals up. And so that equalizer knocked the wind out of us a little bit. Second goal is a set piece, and we need to tidy up on the set pieces. We were unhappy to concede a poor set piece against the Seychelles, and unhappy with the set piece we conceded. Unhappy in terms of how we dealt with it. So we definitely need to tighten up defensively from set pieces. There's no doubt about that. But that's been a problem going back 2 or 3 years. You can look back over the last few years, and we've conceded a few soft goals from set pieces. So we need to tighten that up. And yeah, I'm not overly concerned about it because, one, I think we were missing. If you look at all the players who were injured the last time out, most of them were defensive players. So we welcome most of them back in this time. But overall, I think our chance creation in the game is as high, if not higher, than our opponents. So 1 or 2 little tweaks, make sure we are capitalizing on our chances at the other end, and we'll be fine.
Coach, you selected a player from the National League Division 1 that is Mckinstry, a very good goalkeeper. With that selection, what message are you sending to the National League players? The second question is, you had faith in Abdullahi Cisse. Was doing so well for Real Madrid when you buy it and put his work because that's been enough to in his past 3 games he has scored 3 goals and contributed an assist. That's a goal contribution. What led to this decision from the squad?
Came in the press conference about levels. And so there's no doubt that I think everyone understands that the level like Abdoulaye Cisse, as you've mentioned, to go out this week. So they're young guys. You'll not see them on the pitch for a few years early on from the league. But for the guys who are still here, if you're performing well and if that opportunity, that space opens up in the team, then I've got no problem. I've got no problem in giving players that opportunity. Now, in certain positions, it's going to be easier than others because let's look at Lamine Seydi's opportunity in goals. We don't have that many goalkeepers playing globally. You know, I think we've got now we've got a goalkeeper who's just signed for a Scottish team. We've got 4 to get into the gambling. There's a centre forward position. Look, Alassane Jatta is a player we've watched the 3rd of April to the end of the season, didn't play at all. Because he was out of the team. And so that meant we couldn't bring him in June. We start this season and he's done really well. Then Alassane hit form in terms of scoring goals and getting assists. So there's that. Now, does that mean we can't invite a player late? No, absolutely. We could invite a player today if we wanted, but the club could turn it down. And obviously Notts County have games because League Two doesn't break for the international window. So he's someone who's doing very well. And we've watched the games. I'm really super pleased with how he's doing. And, you know, if he keeps doing that, I see him getting, you know, an opportunity in a red shirt before too long.
Yeah, I think one of the usually at the heart of sorry. Yes, let's go to protocol. Yeah.
Could you combating with the teams basically that could be going teams into the Congress? And as of now, what are some of the mental strategies that you should put in place in order to make sure that you take us to another after? Because that is the minimum requirement. The second one maybe is a bit away from what you have control, but it is refereeing decision. Because we've seen the last time against Gabon, these are things that coaches do not want to talk about in public. But let's say the second Gabon goal, somebody maybe will say it was evident offside plus some of the other decisions. These are things that happen all over Africa, particularly playing against the North African teams who always have that connotation that some of the refereeing decisions go in their favor. And in terms of mental preparedness to your players, you know, to be very much ready for some of these supposed decisions that can go against them. But that's some of the things that you're working on to remedy that situation.
Yeah, so I think for us going into these games, look, we've got a tough group. There's no doubt about that. You know, Madagascar, Comoros, and Tunisia is a tough group. It's easy for people to look at a team like Comoros, wouldn't necessarily know exactly where it is. But I'll tell you what's also true. That's also probably true of the Gambia for a lot of people. If you say, I went against Blackburn recently, and I was sat beside another international manager at the game, and genuinely he asked me, where is the Gambia? You know, so I think we should be humble enough not, given that we would question why other people don't know about the great players and the great quality of the Gambia, both as a football nation, as a nation as a whole, we would question if people didn't know about us. So I think we should be humble enough not to have that mental approach to any nation. Beyond that, Comoros are top of their World Cup qualifying group. You know, they beat Ghana in World Cup qualifying. They beat Uganda 4-0 in a friendly game in, I think, October time. And so this is a team that have done extremely well recently. So we need to know that we need to be at the top of our level. But the thing that we have to then remind ourselves that the top of our level is a very high level indeed. You know, you look at where a lot of our players are playing their football. We've got guys in the English Premier, and you know, we've got guys playing at really good levels, playing, you know, even last night. But it's possibly one of the most difficult venues to be a standout away player in Istanbul, yet he can come with that confidence in a pressure game. If you're not phased, by playing Manchester United or Juventus, then nothing here should phase you either. So it's about bringing that, and then for the level yet. So I think it's about bringing that high quality to the squad, and then worried about the referees. Happens, but for us, what I've always said in my entire career, look, if against Gabon, I personally don't think in the first half, and it's if you put yourself 3 goals being better than the opponent, it's about us being better than any wrong decision that might come our way, and just being confident in our own. Played on the wing. The form, well, no, because I also, when you see on the line, say is at club level has been a winger, but also I think forward, Yankuba has those abilities as well. And for Musa, we just, if any, I don't know, I'm sure most of you have been following football here in the Gambia for a long time. You'll remember when Musa broke through, he was a central player, and he has gravitated out to the wings. But even if you watch him play for Al Tawun, pretty much every game for Al Tawun, Musa starts in the number 11 position, but by the end of the game, for the last 20 minutes, tends to be in the number 8 or the number 10 position. So he sort of plays both. And we just felt going into that game, and then we had Aliu and Ibrahima on the flanks. So, yeah, Ibrahima. We also, the nice thing about the Gambia is, and you have to, when you watch the best teams in world football, like Manchester City, like Arsenal, like Barcelona, like Bayern Munich, you see a lot of rotations happening. And I think, I'm not comparing us to those teams, but what I'm saying is when you look at that offensive players, the like of Musa Barrow, Musa Jawara, Ibrahim Akali, Yankuba Minte, Aliou Fadera, you can immediately in your own head say, oh yeah, they can swap around positions because they can all play across that sort of 7, 10, 11 line. So in any given moment, yeah, you might see Ibrahim Akali in a more central position in a given phase of play. But when you then look at their average positions in a game, yeah, we pretty much consider Ibrahim a wide player more often than not. Thank you.
Any more questions? Let's go. Good afternoon to you. My name is Pablo from Barcelona. Considering the kind of playing home and home, how difficult it is for you and your practice players in home playing this very important qualifier because individual qualifiers are most of the qualifiers how about in all your mind? How important how would it make life easier to continue to play back home? Also,
Look, all the players, the staff, the federation, everybody in this building is extremely hungry for us returning back to the Independence Stadium. There's no doubt about that. You know, home advantage in Africa, it counts even more. Like home advantage in the world of football, if you look at the English Premier League or you look at Serie A, the home team wins about 50% of the time. On the African continent, whether it's in which shows you the huge advantage playing at home has here on the African continent. About something we cannot control. All is a little bit of wasted time for us. So we're just about going out to our assurance is that these players and dreams of the Gambian supporters. We can't guarantee results. Football, you got to remember, Comoros are going out trying to win as well. Tunisia are going out trying to win as well. It's not like if I'm sitting in my office writing a report, no one's trying to stop me writing that report. But in football, there's another 11 guys trying to stop us from doing what we're trying to do. But we've already long since started. You know, even Alaji will tell you, even though I only landed in the country yesterday, we were on Zoom calls, WhatsApp calls, constantly checking up on players, following up on what we need to do for this camp. So the preparations have long since started in terms of how we can take our best form into these games. And if we go and play at our maximum level, we think that's good enough to win football matches. But we can't. I'll never promise anyone a win. What I will promise is the players and staff will do everything in their power to go on and put a performance that we hope the Gambian public are proud of. And if we do that often enough, I think we're going to win a lot of football matches.
Yes, Coach, it's important to get the players together and relaxation, the mental awareness, and being focused and being ready for these 2 games is absolutely very important. When are you expecting to assemble all these players together for next week's time?
So again, me and you're all very aware of Usman. He works schedules of the players. You know, it all depends on the last game of a player. Of the squad I've listed, I believe 18 of them play Saturday and we'll do our first day. For the other 6 players, they play on Sunday for their clubs. And so obviously they won't be arriving in Morocco until Monday. And look, it's a tight week because the game being on a Wednesday, which we weren't overly happy with, we requested it to be played on, you know, both us and the other federation requested to be played on Saturday, but because of TV and all of this, it's been put on the Wednesday. So it means both teams have a very limited time to prepare. But we are getting each individual player, we are getting into Morocco, to our hotel, to the training camp as early as is physically possible. There'll be no guys turning up late because they want a day or two off.
Okay. I think we've exhausted the questions. You want to make any closing remarks?
I suppose just one other little thing is, like, I know I'm sort of surprised one or two questions haven't come up. I sort of have a bit of a game with my staff at predicting what questions will be asked, and I'm not going to ask those questions. And now you've lost your opportunity to. But what I would say is sometimes we are picking the best players who are available to us. Okay. Now, there's a lot of names out there of players who are born abroad, and even some players who are played in the Gambia, who people would love to see given the opportunity. But remember, I am not a prison warden. I don't get to say, hey, you must come and do this. I have conversations. I've got a list of probably, I think it's 8 or 9 players who I've had conversations with this summer who, for different reasons, are not ready to make that step. At the stage in their career who are saying, we're interested, but available to.
Thank you very much, guys, for coming. We appreciate your coming. And hopefully, we all are happy at the end of this international